Yo, what's up? What's good? It's your boy GP. We in the building. You heard me?
What up? Back at it. Derrick, Atlas Consulting on Instagram. Like, subscribe, follow to the channel already. Just go ahead and click that like button right now because this is going to be heat. This is what y'all want.
Fitness Architect LLC. You dig? Get at your boy, Mr. Gary.
Now, this is one of them topics that everybody wants to know. It's how to stay lean. So you just did your show. You looking good, looking crispy. You did your photo shoot. You had a good ass meal afterwards. You just won your titles, and now it's your off season. What are you going to do?
Well, first,
how are you going to stay lean in the off season? Because don't nobody want to balloon up and rebound, gain 30 pounds in 2 days. That's not healthy.
This is a very good topic. The beginning of your off season, if you didn't eat a cheat meal or haven't had any, you better get it out. You better get out your system. All right, before you enter your off season. The hardest part with people off season is you've been dieting for a show for the last 3-4 months. You've been eating certain foods. You've been on a system that was though at a certain time you're doing cardio, you eating this, you're working out.
Clockwork.
And now guess what?
You don't got no structure. You can
do
whatever
structure
you want to do.
No show. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how to approach the off season.
You don't got to do no cardio no more.
Exactly.
You don't got no whack diet no more.
So this is where the danger come in at because
you eat everything.
You start eating everything. You're right. And depending on your next show, which will be important, that's going to really determine when you need to get it, when you need to kick things back into gear, right? So approaching your off season, if you know for a fact you're going to take off for the next 4 or 5 months, I would suggest, take off a week or two. If you're going to be competing the next 4 or 5 months, I would take off a week or two and then get back on a somewhat strict diet so that you don't put on a lot of weight. The reason why a lot of competitors off season, they put on a lot of weight and then it's hard to come back down. And when you come back down, now it's even harder because now you've added the extra 30 or 40 pounds prior to what you had on.
Fat, yeah.
And it's even tougher now compared to somebody who's walking around who's fairly in shape. It's not big of a struggle. So now somebody who's in shape off season, who's been eating lean, who's been eating clean and stuff like that and staying lean, they don't have to do a 16,
20 week diet.
Now you're talking about anywhere between 6 to 8 week diet.
Yeah.
Because they was disciplined enough during the off season. Now, of course, you want to reward yourself and stuff like that. But you have to just be mindful. Like I said, if you're going to, some people take off, depending on what the judges tell you, some people might take off for a whole year just to work on
but that's intentional.
Flaws.
That's intentional to build up their flaws.
Yeah.
Or to build up their weak points. And if you taking a whole season off, then you kind of, you don't want to blow up and become a fat boy or fat girl like the very next week or next month, but you have a lot of liberty and leeway as to not being lean all the time.
Like you want to, like I said, depending on your coach, depending on who you with, they would definitely give you better guidance on how to approach your off season. But if not, if you're just trying to stay lean, it's going to be important that, you're eating certain foods, you're staying away from certain things so that you don't pretty much mess up your physique during the off season. A lot of people, and this is what you see, because I'm glad we're talking about this too also, because a lot of people think everybody walking around with abs.
Yeah.
And half the time that's not necessarily true. Some people, like prime example, even like the top guys, you might only see their abs.
That shit.
Yeah, you might only see their abs doing,
when they getting close to show day.
Exactly.
Or like when they in prep.
So a lot of people go through about that a lot. Like, man, you guys walking around abs all the time. That's not necessarily always the case.
Nah.
But
now those Instagram dudes or Instagram trainers or celebrities or whatever they are, some of those people walk around with abs all the time.
Yeah.
But that's their livelihood. They are kind of monetizing themselves and their physique. So they are getting paid to be that lean all the time, have abs all the time.
Yeah. So, I think the best thing to do is keep structure if you want to stay lean. If you was doing cardio 7 days a week, you could dumb it down to like 3 days a week now.
Yeah.
So that you won't be just doing too much. Make sure like I said, you don't have to be. You should stay away from fast food. I know some people love fast food off season. I don't know why. I mean, after I find out what I found about fast foods, I'm good. But we can talk about that another time. You know, you can have a cheat meal here and there. You know, you like I said, you want to make sure that you're still working out, you still eating somewhere, because more than likely, once you get in that competitive mode, it's kind of hard to switch it off.
Yeah.
All season anyway. So some people fall out of structure, and then some people still be on it because they really don't know necessarily what to do after the show is over with. So for the most part, like we were saying, you know, if you're going to be doing, if you was doing cardio for like 7 days a week, you know, just dumb it down, take it down to 3. Ask your coach, whoever's coaching you, to just give you a proper diet so that you won't blow up or mess your physique up, you know, eating stuff, especially depending on, you know, if you're going to do another show anytime soon. You know, when you're building muscle during off season, some people get bigger in between shows. Some people try to stay the same or try to get lower to actually look leaner for the next show. So, like I said, it all depends on your coach, man. Who's coaching you? They could probably give you the better guidance for that.
Yeah.
But staying lean, it's not that hard as people make it seem to be. It's just, I do believe you do need a break after you've done a show. I think you should take a break, you know, regroup and stuff like that, and then get back on the horse. But I think the most common thing is a lot of people have a hard time after the show is over what to do.
Yeah.
And so in that, they don't know if they want to stay lean or if they want to bulk up and stuff like that. So you have so many different variables that come into play with people in these particular situations that they're all over the place.
I'd have to say the best way to approach after you get off the stage, if you want to stay, well, like the first thing is your plan for the off season. Your off season should start, or you should already have that plan before you get on stage. You planned 16 weeks to get to this point. You don't necessarily need to plan 16 weeks to back away from that point, but you should probably have a general guideline, maybe a month plan for how to back out of it. Because you, in the process of dieting down that lean, you're putting your body through a lot of changes and a lot of stress. The whole event is stressful, and then if you water cut or, you know, take diuretics or carb load, salt load, all that stuff in order to peak for that one day, you will have repercussions on the back end. And it's typically why bodybuilders will look, you know, they might look bad on the day of the show, and then they have their cheat meal the night of the show. Yeah. After it's all done, and then they look great the next day, and it's because they mistimed their carb load or their salt load or whatever, and their water intake and all that stuff. But the first thing is, you know, come up with a plan on the front end before you get into the show, what you want to do and after the show. If you want to stay lean, then you definitely need to have a plan going out, kind of like a reverse diet. But the easiest way to think of it is whatever you did to get into the show, you should probably go the reverse route. So I know the last show I did, I think Coach had me cut my calories in half in that last 2 weeks, which is really crazy. It's like 1,000 calories. Yeah. But I won. You do what it takes. But the proper thing to do would have been for me to double the calories. So instead of going to 1,000, go back to like it wasn't actually 1,000, it was like 1,700. So instead of having 1,000 calories a day, the smart thing to do was to go back to the meal plan I had where I was eating 1,700 calories a day, then maybe hold that for like a week or 2 weeks if I can, and then go back up to like 2,300 calories. That way I'm still training, I'm still doing cardio 4 times a week, and I wouldn't have like blew right back up, because I'm guilty of this all the time. I'm a fat boy at heart, fat boy in real life. Like, I don't have abs except for the day of the show, but I will, after the show, if I get a taste of anything sweet, it's a wrap. Like, I can't stop at that point. So
yeah, if you could stay if you could stay anywhere between 18 to 20% body fat all season, you're doing a good job, because you don't have to come down.
Is that, you said 18 to 20?
Yeah. So
is that for women or for men?
So hear me out. So the last competition that I did, some of the judges, I'm sorry, this was a seminar I went to. Some of the judges was talking about how even now with some of the bodybuilders that's competing, you see they're not going past a certain weight off season.
Yeah.
They stay in a certain weight, stay in a certain body fat percentage, so that the next time they come in or when they come down, they're even harder.
Right.
And so now you can manipulate it a bit, whereas though now, you know, for me, if I'm walking around, if I'm competing at 225 and I'm walking around off season and I'm at 230, 235, but I'm still hard as nails and stuff like that, and you know, I done added a little bit more muscle.
Yeah.
By the time I cut down, I have a lot of room to play with now.
Right. You got more time.
I got more time, more everything. So if I wanted, so that's when you could like actually sacrifice 15 pounds and then struggle and then grow into a show.
Yeah.
On the tail end and stuff like that. So like staying a certain, because what happens is off season, you blow up. So if my competition weight is 225, 230, there's no sense for me to get 265, 270.
No, hell no.
Or 280 off season just to come back down. It's a fight.
Yes.
Because it's gonna be a fight every time I'm going back.
Yes.
So
your body don't want to.
Exactly.
Your body, like once you go down to that low percentage of body fat, your body has a defense mechanism to overcompensate on the tail end. So it's easier to get more than what you weigh. And that's how people in the regular world will like yo-yo diet. Yeah. Or like they'll like diet down, lose like 10 pounds, and then after they get off their diet, they'll like gain 20 pounds.
Because the truth of the matter is, if a guy has more muscle than you, and he comes in somewhat in shape, and you don't have the muscle to offset it, but you do have the conditioning and everything else, more than likely you're gonna win that show.
Yeah, conditioning.
Yeah,
you're gonna win that show on that stage, like.
So that's why, you know, like I said, the off season is very important. Staying lean, like I said, it all depends on. See, the hardest part about staying lean off season also too, will be, for most people, your place of work. Because where you work at, you know, somebody who has a desk job might not be able to actually have the opportunity to eat like a normal person who has a. You see what I'm saying? Like.
But I mean,
depending on the bread, like, let's not even say a desk job. We could talk about a desk job, but let's, you know, I train people, you know, who.
But they on their feet all day and they can't have a meal
who work in a
whenever
hospital.
they want. Yeah, they got.
You know, people compete who work in the hospital.
Yeah.
And when they get to a certain part of the hospital, they can't come out.
Yeah.
So like.
Or maybe it's just busy that day, like
so
nonstop.
It's gonna be different for some, you know, for some folks, depending on where you work at. So like I said, even trying to stay fit at a desk job. The desk job could be hard. Because some people tend to eat whatever the hell they want to eat who work from a desk job.
But that's the thing. I don't think the hardest part about the off season and staying lean is actually the food or the plan. I think it's the mentality. And the mentality is because you no longer have a specific goal, a date in which you need to be as lean as possible and as muscular as possible. Because you don't have that specific, you know, SMART goal, you kind of lose all structure, and that's the hardest thing about it. Because if you were to, you know, leave one show and you know that you got a show in 6 weeks. 6 weeks is a long time in between shows, but it's a good example of what you'll need to do. Is like you'll need to have a plan. So you know you get so like in that 6 week break period in between shows, what you would want to do is probably have one cheat meal the night of, one cheat meal the day after the show, and then you start to get back on your diet. You probably may or may not do cardio, but you hold off on the weights for like a week. Let your body heal a little bit and just do some light cardio to keep the fat at bay, keep the water retention off, and then progress slowly back into the weights for a couple weeks, and then, you know, right back in the peak week, and you're doing it all over again. But the thing about that and why you're able to stay lean that way is because you have so not only do you have one show that you just finished, but you got a specific date where you have to be at that kind of conditioning again. And that forces you to be inside of a structure, whether that structure be, you know, accompanying your day job and you have shakes because you don't have time to eat a solid meal, or it just prevents you from being fat and getting a bunch of cake and ice cream and eating out all the time for all your meals. It forces you back into the rigid structure of bodybuilding, which is what you need if you're going to stay lean. Until your body adjusts to that leanness and you get to a point where you can be super flexible and still be lean. But that takes time, especially if you're coming from being a fat person. It takes a hell of a lot of time to reset your like genetic set point and how your body handles foods and sugars and carbs and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed for some of the people who worked at, offices and things like that, they had a hard time staying lean. Due to certain jobs and stuff like that. Like I said, some people, like you said, it's a mind thing. It's discipline.
Yeah. And I say this too, coming out of my second show, I don't know why. It was really weird. So I guess I was going, I don't know. So, you diet down super hard, single digit body fat. Your hormones get thrown all out of whack. Actually, I was surprised because after I came out the show, I actually found out, like, I don't know if I was stress eating or I know I was depressed. I don't know why, but I was just like depressed. I didn't want to get up to go to work. I didn't want to do anything with life. All I wanted to do was eat Halo Top and quesadillas. And that sounds fat as hell. But for like a solid 2 weeks, I was eating quesadillas and Halo Top. Like
after your show?
Yeah. That was a rough time period. And then it just morphed into pizza. And it's funny because in my regular life, I don't really like Halo Top or quesadillas or pizza. So it was really weird. But what I would say, and what I'm getting into this is, staying lean in the off season being a mental thing more than a physical thing, because the body can endure a lot. It's the mind that'll break first. Is you need to not only set up some kind of structure and force yourself into it, but make sure you have a support system around you. I think what I definitely want going into my next show, assuming I will get leaner than what I did in the past. I'll be more muscular, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get as lean as possible. But the plan on the back end is to already have like a vacation in mind. I know I'm trying to make a transition into being a trainer full time, so it's so now this is my livelihood. So I have that kind of pressure on me to look a certain way. And then what I've learned from my last show was have support system in place rather than go home and be by myself. I'm definitely thinking the night of the show and maybe the following night, I need to be with somebody who will not say, "Oh, you did a good job. Here, have some cake. Like, you earned it." I need to be with my coach or with my girl, somebody that's gonna be like, "Nah, here's your, salmon and asparagus, or here's your steak and potato. That's all that you get. Get back on the diet. Don't blow up.
Yeah.
And go do some cardio as soon as you wake up, so the water weight doesn't sit on you." I'd say, what I'm getting at is having a support structure.
So what about for people who want to take a longer break? What do you suggest for them?
For them, if you're taking a longer break, then why do you really want to stay lean if you're taking a longer break? I wouldn't say get fat, but I'd say,
Cause some people like the way how it look.
Yeah. So this is what I say.
I run into that a lot of time. Like I get people who competed,
and they just want to live with abs the whole time.
Yeah, and it's like, because it's crazy in this sport. Like, you got people who love the off season because they want to get bigger. Yeah. And you got people who don't want to get bigger.
I love the off season.
Yeah, so it's like it's like you got two different worlds trying to like.
It's all cool. You need to. If you're going to do bodybuilding, I say you need to, have your goals and intentions set forth in the beginning. It's this one dude I follow on Instagram. I was saying, he kind of doesn't care what the judges say because he has an image of what he wants his body to look like. Yeah. And he does because, some shows he places fourth, some shows he places third, some shows he places 1 and 2. Like, it varies, but he's always consistently crispy. But what he does is he kind of tailored it to himself. Like, he kind of doesn't nail himself in a box. And I'm sorry, I'm drifting, but it comes down to your goals. So if you're a leaner guy, or you got to, or say you got on stage and you got lean and you want to stay that lean in the off season, which is impossible, especially if you hit single digit body fat. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but it's really kind of dumb. I would say probably go up 10 pounds from your stage weight, no more than 20 pounds from your stage weight, and just try to recomp there. If you put on the 10 to 20 pounds pretty quick, don't freak out. don't, do any drastic diet changes like going keto or super low carb. Just train harder. Do some cardio, maybe 3-4 times a week, half an hour to anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes if you're a heavier person by default, and make sure that you get your rest and just focus on the diet again. I would never want somebody who was lean, let's say 5% body fat or 6% body fat, stay there. That's unhealthy. It's unrealistic, because you got to remember, whatever you did to get there it's the same as what we talked about with muscle mass going into a show. Whatever you did to build the muscle, what you got to do to keep the muscle. Whatever you did to lose the body fat, until your body fat set point readjusts, that's what you have to do to stay at that body fat. And living in, the last month before competition is not fun. I don't know anybody who would think that those last 4 weeks or last 2 weeks is anything that you want to do. Most people start spazzing out, and that's when they mess themselves up. So basically, if you're a leaner person and you want to stay lean, 10 pounds is not a lot. Put on 10 pounds, just recomp there, and by the time you use that period right after a show to get that the natural anabolic window or rebound or whatever, where you actually do just turn everything that you eat back into muscle mass and refilling your muscle bellies. You'll put on 10 pounds and look damn good. You'll still have some cuts. It won't be all the cuts, but you'll still have your 6-pack. You'll still have some striations and maybe like your leaner body parts, like your legs or your chest or your back or whatever. And then that 10 pounds actually probably help you be sane, and then you can probably have a cheat meal once a week and enjoy life with your friends and family again. Yeah. That's just one way to do it. And for the people that live sedentary desk jobs or can't get for the people that move around a bunch and can't get to a meal, I actually don't know what to say to them. I haven't experienced anybody that has that situation.
Yeah, you just gotta work. You just gotta do what works best for you. If you're gonna be stuck at work for X amount of hours, you might just get up a little bit early and just start eating.
Yeah, or you could
just make certain sacrifices so that you can accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. If you got a goal in mind.
But you know what? To your point, to the person that has a erratic schedule or whatever, and they are if they have a desire to stay lean in the off season, they got an erratic schedule, or they're busy and they can't eat whenever they want, like they don't have a desk job. I would actually say this is the one time where it's I'm an advocate for intermittent fasting. Use it as a tool. It's just a tool. It's not like some diatribe that you got to subscribe to for your whole life. But if you want to stay lean, you're coming out of a show, you want to stay lean and you have an erratic job, then why don't you use the tool that is intermittent fasting? You get to fast, so you don't probably have to do as much cardio. You get to kind of go a little bit above and beyond, like with your meals, as far as calorie wise. You can do a little bit of a bulge, or a little bit of a binge, because you are only eating 1 or 2 times a day. If you only got a 4-hour feeding window, you can get probably 2 good sized meals in. And it'll definitely help you stay lean without doing a whole lot of extra work, just because you can't, get all the calories that you would need to gain fat while only eating in 4 hours.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got for staying lean in the off season. It varies, but it's something that you should definitely talk with your coach about.
Yeah.
Have a plan going into the show of how you will exit the show, and hit some landmark things. Like if you got another show coming up or a photo shoot, or you want to look good for the beach, kind of make a strategic plan on the back end that encompasses a couple cheat meals, or whatever you want to eat meals within reason, while still sticking to your diet for most of the time. Like if you eat 7 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 49 meals. If you have two meals that are cheat meals out of 49 meals, you're not messing up your diet. So think of it like that.
And try to get out your system, man, for your next competition.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So that's us.
That's it.
Staying lean, man.
One last thing. If you are watching this right now, this video will soon. Dang, I guess it'll be stupid to tell you to go to Spotify or Stitcher and listen to this because you're watching it right here. But we are now on Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and I'm working on iTunes.
Yep.
And we are gonna be on iHeartRadio as well. We're blowing up. We're major now.
Big things. 2020.
Big things coming. And also, I got a coupon code for you guys. AK20 at Chemix. CHEMIX. New supplement company. Dude's got it's one of the scientists that I've been following for a long time. It's got some quality products. I'm excited for what they got coming. So
y'all go check that out.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. We out.
Out.